And we are here. I am so honored to be hosting this panel today. I'm a little verklempt. Some of my favorite people, not just in the Star Trek universe, but in the whole goddamn world, are here. I've had the great pleasure of getting to know all these folks on the convention circuit. It is, I didn't think Garrett was going to make it today. In fact, I was going to suggest we start off by just making fun of Garrett for 20 minutes. So I am thrilled.
You can thank Bob Picardo for that. He's the reason why I'm here right now.
Wow. Okay, we couldn't find you. We didn't know where to look for you.
He's not even in his own car. He stole that car. And we had a place to sit to be here because it meant that much.
I was going to suggest that you were off playing baccarat in Monte Carlo.
No. I was actually at a lunch appointment, and it ran over, and then I realized, like, oh my God, Bob texted me. I'm like, okay, so here I am.
Did you just jump in somebody's car just now?
It's my car. It's my.
He always says it's his car.
The nice thing about this panel is there's no unifying theme whatsoever, which is great. So I'm not obliged to ask you any specific questions. So here's some things that Bob. In the course of reviewing your oeuvre, I see such films as Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus, Revenge of the Nerds 4, which is definitely the best of the nerd movies, and Women Without Implants. Could you speak to the depth and power of your oeuvre?
I think you already have. Yes. Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus, or I was told originally the movie was going to be called What a Croc. And of course, that attracted me. The title it ended up. I was also in a movie called Shockwave or AI Assault. I'm going to tell a story about how all of us should learn. The public should know this. If any of you out there watching think that you might want to be actors, my advice to you is read the entire script before you take any part. In Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus, my agent said you have 15 minutes to reply. You're only in the first 15 pages of the script. Read it. Now, so I read the first 15 pages. My character is with a Baywatch girl in a scene on an airplane, and the plane goes down and I die. I figure I'll take the part. What I didn't know, because I didn't read the rest of the script, is that in the last act, I came back as a zombie robot. I found that out when the wardrobe department called me for my hat size. And I said, I'm on a plane. Why would I wear a hat? And they said, no, we need to get you a bathing cap so we can make a fake head for you for the zombie robot sequence. And I went, oh, right. And in any case, read the whole script. And so yes, that was my most embarrassing moment in and in show business before this moment with you right now, John.
Thank you. That was my goal today, was to embarrass all of you. Now, job semi-accomplished. Anybody else want to stand? And
you look, I just want to say, Robert, you look like you're transfigured. God is shining.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, that's the light came in the yeah. What am I going to do about that?
No, it's kind of good. It's sort of it's kind of cool. It sort of looks like you're an angel. Cool. Those of us who know you, of course, know you're not.
You don't know Bob's nickname? It's Jesus. It's Bob Jesus Picardo. That's
now, Sid,
I can't get. I have sun coming in the window. Right. I can't get away from it.
We'll watch you fuck around, and we'll talk to Sid for a moment. Sid. Game of Thrones, Peaky Blinders, Gotham. I mean, all these classy shows and a bunch of stuff that shows in England that we don't know anything about because it's in England.
Nothing about them.
Nothing about that.
Peaky Blinders is the only one that slipped through the net.
Yeah. I mean, what an amazing and extraordinary career. One of the things that jumps out at me, you played Aristotle Onassis. You've played a number of historical figures. This is quasi-serious question. That's for all of us. When you play quasi-serious, when you play an historical figure, what's the process by which you say imitation as opposed to interpretation? How have you kind of like figured out how to kind of draw the line so you're not kind of doing an Arionassus impersonation?
I don't think you can. I think all of that stuff is in the eye of the beholder. I think if people decide you did an okay job, then you were authentic and fantastic. And if you suck or your makeup sucks or something about you sucks, then everyone's going to say, look, you just impersonated him. It's just a spoof, a pastiche. It really depends on being convincing, but also there's an element of it is pure luck, because I'm not the kind of actor who gets to actually choose very much of what I do. Still, I get offered like one part maybe a year, and then the work I do for money is I just go, yes, fine, that's great. I have to do it. And that's pretty much 90% of actors. We don't, I mean, a lot of people talk about actors having a lot of choice, and what a bad choice. We simply don't have the choice if we want to pay our bills. It's just not a reality.
I auditioned for Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus and I didn't get it.
And did you read to the end of the script?
I did. I totally read to the end of the script, and I had the whole fucking thing worked out about how I was going to come back as a robot, and I'd like figured out but they gave it to Bob Picardo.
The fashion now is to talk to actors without even giving them a script. I mean, now we just get a few pages, and we have to figure out what the hell that means. Whether or not you're a main part, whether or not you die in the episode. I mean, you have no idea what you're just about to get yourself into. And
if it's me, I'm fairly certain I'm going to be a child molester. But yes, that's just my
that is the depressing trend.
It is depressing.
Typecasting.
Denise, you have had such a wonderful and extraordinary career. We were in a movie together a few years back.
Oh,
you remember that?
Yes, yeah, of course I do.
Yes,
yeah.
Denise was the star. I was serving more in a kind of a janitorial capacity, but Denise was very gracious. She let me eat all the pizza crusts at the end of lunch every day.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you remember that movie?
So it was it was the Raven, the Raven, right?
It was Raven, and you were the villainess, as I recall.
I was. Oh, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I don't often. I did play a fair amount of villains. Yeah, I was going to say I don't often get to do the villain, but I'm moving into my villainness.
Because you have also played a flesh-eating zombie in The Walking Dead.
I did not play a zombie.
Oh, you did not.
I played a flesh-eating human.
Oh, you were a flesh eater.
Yes, we by the time you got to Terminus, I was cooking up mystery meat, and our survivors were coming through looking for a place to land and get and have peace and quiet, and they had heard that Terminus was the place, but in fact it was not.
I see. So you weren't necessarily villainous. You were a good cook who had.
I was a survivor. In The Walking Dead, everything's on the plate.
So to speak.
Literally.
Literally.
I mean, everything. You just got to survive. That's their whole MO on that show.
Now, and forgive me, I'm not asking a ton of Star Trek questions, but I do want to talk to Garrett. Garrett, you and Robbie have been doing this really cool thing where you are essentially gabbing about every episode of Voyager.
Yes.
Talk about that?
Yeah, it's called the Delta Flyers, and it's a podcast idea I've had for probably over a decade, but the pandemic is really what spurred this this project to happen. So I called Robbie up in March of 2020 at the behest of my significant other, Megan. She said, listen, Robbie would probably be the ideal co-host since Tom and Harry are such a good duo on Voyager. And I said, you know what? He's too busy. He's always directing television. He just has no time. And this is when at the very beginning of the shutdown, she says, well, he's not busy now. And I said, God, you're right. So I called him up and he said, well, let me think about it. And he and Rebecca talked it over and they agreed. And we've been going strong. We've had a lot of guest actors. We've had Bob Picardo on numerous times. We're interviewing not only the actors, but also behind the scenes. So we've had Bob Blackman, head of wardrobe on Voyager. We've had, we've had makeup, wardrobe, stunts, visual effects. So we're trying to get every interview possible. So in a way, this is almost like what the Voyager documentary is doing in a way, but we're doing it kind of stretched out as much as we can.
I know West Wing did that. It's becoming kind of a cool thing. The idea of having actors do every single episode and all the way through the series. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah,
John, it hasn't escaped my attention that you've asked very respectful questions of all of the other guests other than me, but that's okay.
Well, you know what? I wanted to play Fuck, Kill, Marry, but I was nope, can't do that. So
it's all right. This will not be forgotten.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure it won't. I know. Denise, Trekkies 3, is that done? Is it in the works? Is it happening? Have you aborted it? What's going on?
no, we have, we're hashing out some ideas. We've got, we just did a new resolution of a high def res 4K of Trekkies 1, the first Trekkies, which is re-released next year for the 25th anniversary. So we just, we finally wrestled it away out of Paramount's hands and, did a whole new version with extras and stuff that hasn't been seen before. So that's coming out next year.
Is 3 still
coming out this year?
Is 3 still on the docket for you? Or are you still? We
have some ideas to do a 3. We just have to wait until Trekkies 2, the contract expires and we can get it back.
Let me ask you this. How much shit have you had to take for not calling it Trekkers?
Oh,
fair amount of shit.
That's funny because, there was some division amongst us, the filmmakers. I really wanted Trekkies because that's the sort of internationally known, term for a Star Trek fan. Trekkers, they like to distinguish themselves as being, not the guy that lives in their parents' basement.
I see them as the kind of postmodern evolution of Trekkie.
Right. And, we don't really do all that kind of stuff. And here they are doing all of that kind of stuff. So it's the irony is so great that they have this actual this distinction happening, this sort of faux distinction. But Trekkies, that's it's in, the Webster dictionary.
Yeah. And your movie is, classic. Are you in touch still with, I'm sure you get this all the time.
Both of them.
Touch with some of the folks in the first film?
Oh, well, Gabriel, the kid, the young boy who's 14, he's gone on to do, he called me on his way to the Emmy one night. I'm stuck in traffic, with like a ham sandwich, and he's on the way to, the Emmys. And
you usually travel with a ham sandwich? Is that like a sort of thing you do? Is it the same ham sandwich? Is it like a ham sandwich that has gone with you down the years, or is it different?
I don't even eat meat. I'm making this shit up. Okay. I don't. So
noted.
He's gone on to do all kinds of, artwork and special effects, and he works all the time. That's kind of all the people like our sort of superstars of Trekkies, but it's a phone call away.
Yeah.
And I'd like to check back in on some of them.
I have a serious question, which I want to include you in, Garrett, but I wasn't sure you were going to make it, so I didn't do all my research. But I jump in with this because all you guys, and this is my background too, have had some lovely stage work behind you. Are you still stage actors? Does that still is it still important to you? Do you have any projects coming up? And if you're not, is there anything that would lure you back to the stage, like being in a play with John Billingsley? And produce.
I'll read the script, John. I'll read the script.
I play a robot.
I did a musical in New York in the spring of 2019. That was the first time I'd been on a New York stage since I closed playing opposite Jack Lemmon in Tribute when I was 24 years old. So I was away for however many years, that is 40 years or something. And that was, I'd continued to do theater in California. I've done a number of musicals since Voyager ended because I guess I got interested in singing again, singing on the show. So yes, of course I would do a musical. If I had, a show with you, Mr. Billingsley, I would be honored.
Yeah, it ain't going to be a musical if it's with me. I'll tell you that right now.
But yeah, the tragic thing, of course, is this pandemic, which has closed down the world for a significant period of time and closed down all of show business. It's being especially problematic in theater, of course. More so in. It seems like, in film and television, we've developed a way of going back to work and observing a lot of protocols and still getting the work done. I mean, look at the number of movies that have been made in the last year.
It shut down the Globe. It shut down Shakespeare, and he bounced back.
So I hope I fully expect to be on stage again doing another play at some time, and I hope it's soon.
Sid?
Theater terrifies me. I mean, it's one of the most frightening things that I've ever done, and I still wake up with cold sweats, even just thinking about the last time I did a play. I do a play about every 6 or 7 years.
You did Whose Life Is It Anyway with Kim Cattrall.
I did with Kim, yeah. And then I did this thing at the Globe that you just mentioned. And what I find I do is I wake up every morning during rehearsal, the whole process, and I start trying to remember my lines. Whatever it is I'm doing, I'm going to a supermarket, I'm going to another play, I'm in my head, my lines are going through and if I mess up, I start again from the beginning. So I do it all day, every day, and it just frightens the living crap out of me. And then I get on stage and I'm fine most of the time. And there was one time I just completely forgot my lines on stage at the Globe. And there was this like 3-minute break. And you know that it's a problem when the audience start laughing because they all know, they've realized that the dude has forgotten his lines. That's why this is not a dramatic pause. And so I don't do it very often. I don't think I'm really all that good at it. I think we require just enormous technique, enormous physical presence. And I just don't think I have the imagination to keep inventing as much as the great theater actors, the ones I love, do. So the disposable nature of celluloid, or what is now digital film, is much more up my street and just gotta try again. So I will do it again because I know I have to, as in the same way as children have to eat vegetables. And that's how it's going to work out for me.
An all-male Three Sisters with with Denise playing the guy who shoots himself at the end, or gets shot at the end. That's a spoiler if you haven't seen the Three Sisters. So.
I
Garrett,
played that part.
Are you a stage actor? And forgive me, I didn't do my research because I weren't sure you were going to make it.
Yeah, that's okay. It's funny when you ask me that question. It reminds me of season 5 of Voyager when Ethan Phillips walked up to me and said, Garrett, you should think about doing theater possibly one of these days. And I was so offended because that's what I only did before Voyager. I did a ton of theater, but what really, what happened to me, one of the last play that I did before I got onto Voyager was a play called Porcelain. And it's set up kind of like the play Equus. And there's a criminal psychologist that's kind of interviewing my character, who has the character was a British teenager, a gay British teenager who comes out of the closet and again ends up in a relationship with an older Irish blue collar worker who's just kind of testing the waters. And essentially at the end of my character ends up murdering him because he follows him back to the public restroom where they met, and he sees that he's with other people. And so the climactic scene is me standing on top of this stool after murdering my lover, basically shooting him with the gun, and I'm going through this cathartic where I'm just breaking down, crying. I hyperventilated on one of the last performances of this play, and I passed out, and I fell off of this 3-foot stool, landed on hard cement floor. And when I came to, I was out for probably 10 seconds. When I came to, I thought we were in rehearsal, because my body was turned away from audience. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're in rehearsal. And then I realized all the stage lights were on. I go, oh no, this is tech rehearsal. And then I had the realization, oh no, this can't be a performance. And I turn over a little bit and I notice it's a full house. And I go, oh my God. And this play, there's only one part of this play where I don't have any lines. And that's right after this climactic, death scene. So it was actually a perfect time for me to pass out because I didn't have any lines. But then I realized that I could taste the metallic taste in my mouth. And I realized my mouth was full of blood because when I fell backwards, my tongue was between my teeth when I hit the ground.
This is the best story ever if you're a young skater.
It's amazing. So what I did was I swallowed all the blood in my mouth, right before I was supposed to have my next line, I got up, put my stool back on stage and sat on it and finished the play. But after that play, I developed this crazy, I would have panic attacks. And every type of theater, even a reading that I tried to engage in after that, I couldn't do it. I had to back out of everything because I could not stop this panic attack from hitting me. But finally, thank God, it took 14 or 15 years, but I ended up doing a reading, which was an off-book reading. We had to memorize everything, where I played the right-hand man to Charlie Chaplin. The play was called My Man Kono. So a real life character was Japanese guy who was Charlie Chaplin's sort of his butler, his secretary, you name it. And that play, I started feeling the feelings of about to pass out, the panic attack, but I was able to push it down. So I finally worked through that. It took 14 years to get back to be able to do theater, though. So that's my story.
Denise, can you top that?
You took the words right out of my mouth. Garrett, thank you for that lovely introduction.
You're welcome.
I'm trying to think if I've ever bled on stage, and I mean that in the best sense of the term. No, I love theater. I mean, I'm a member of the Ensemble Studio Theater, which I haven't been to in a couple of since the pandemic, but we were able, like I said, we were able to do a 6-part play all remotely from each other and have it edited so it looks as if we're all on the theater stage. It's a trip, and so many people have been doing all this creative stuff. I don't know if you looked at any of the National Theater and all this different stuff they've been able to kind of stream and keep going. I mean, I love everything about the theater. I love that it exists only in that moment of time, that the performance is you have to be in the theater to catch it, to catch that magic. And when you've seen great actors do extraordinary things, you feel like it was serendipitous to be there in that moment. And actually Gates McFadden directed me in a play at EST, our company. We're both members, and it was extraordinary. She is an amazing theater director, and it was a play about Jean-Benet Ramsey and her kind of, but it was avant-garde enough. It wasn't a literal, dramatization of her life, but I played her mother, Patsy. And the girl that played Jean-Benet was, 35. So she played, this young child. So it was surreal. We had animation on stage. Gates got a tiny little car and moved, drove it on stage. It was all this just crazy stuff. But I need to do theater. It just keeps me it's facile and my chops. I find that if I'm just doing, especially TV, where it's just bam, now TV is TV has changed so much. Now there's all this great prestige TV,
I unfortunately, because I'm getting the hook from my producers, have to wrap this up, even though I didn't get to the question about sex.
Feels like we only just started.
I know. What was amazing is that when we put the word out, everybody said yes, which we did not anticipate. So we had imagined maybe we could do 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. Well, we got 8 hours of people. So we kind of had to truncate all the panels, and it's really frustrating because you could spend the entire day with one group of people. I did not get to ask all of us to talk about what it was like to be a sex bomb as an actor and how you live with that. There's that pressure, which has been one of the hardest things in my career, I know.
God.
But John, the reason you got response across the board is everyone admires and supports the work you do with the Hollywood Food Coalition. That's exactly. I think everybody feels the same way. I'm very proud of you to be your colleague in the work you do, and that's why we're all here to support you.
Damn straight.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so much I think for the folks who are watching is about getting a chance to spend time with the wonderful folks who are through their work with this franchise. And the other thing I didn't get to talk about was the great work that I'm sure that you guys are doing. It astonishes me that almost everybody, from fan to actor to behind the scenes personality, has something they do to give back to the world. And it is something that I think it really is very interesting about the way that Star Trek and its values kind of seep into you and kind of change your life in ways that you wouldn't have expected to. Aesthetics aside, the mission of what this show and what this franchise is about has really been transformative, I'm sure.
It's a very nourishing franchise.
Yeah, it really is.
Mhm.
So thank you again. We've still got some pretty amazing people coming up. Adam Nimoy, James Cromwell, John Billingsley, Tony Todd. Here's the thing. This event, if you want to see us do it again, we'd love to. To do that, we sort of have to feel like we can generate the revenue. So please, if you have not donated any amount, $20, I will continue if you make a $40 donation to add $10 to make it a $50 donation. And if you have donated and you think my job is done, again, tweet, Facebook, get out on social media. We still have 3.5 hours of amazing programming to come, capped by an appearance by Jerry Ryan.